Hello friends, welcome back to Data Center Guru Knowledge Platform, knowing A to Z of data center. Hope all of you are safe and sound in this pandemic situation, which has put our life out of gear across the country, and we are really fighting together to win over this COVID crisis. And I'm confident we will one day. And I pray God to give the strength and keep all of us, all our friends, colleagues in safe and healthy conditions, which is the key in this situation. So, coming back to the session topic today, as you know, we are into the first phase of design, which is design phase of the data center. And out of the design phase, there are different stages in the design also. And we are in the conceptual design stage. So we will run through what is this conceptual design, what exactly we do in this, what is expected deliverables or outcome of this conceptual design, what are the different elements in the conceptual design which needs to be taken care of. So at the end of the session, I hope you will have a better idea or knowledge about the concept design, and you can be able to use those knowledge in your day-to-day professional life. So, as we know, the design process are divided into the 5 stages. So, 2 stages we have already covered in my previous sessions. So, I already covered what are the different inputs required during the design phase. And the second stage we also covered in my previous session, which was master plan. Because if you are building a data center from scratch and you are given a land, how do you start? So the first thing to start with is the master planning process. And in the today's session, we are going to talk about the conceptual design. So conceptual design is nothing but it is a stage or phase of a design in the early stage of a data center where you prepare a conceptual stage or conceptual sketch which meets the data center objective, which is stated by the data center owner or operator or our customer. This is a very important phase of the design process, and typically each and every stages of this design process is important because these inputs are dependent to each other. So if you want to make any changes, then you have to go back to the previous and then correct it and come back. So that is the reason each accuracy of completion of each and every stages are very important. So in this conceptual design, what you do is master design was mostly on the how do you use the land and how you plot it as a block on the different space in the data center, the land. Conceptual stage is we are talking about the overall integrated design. How can we achieve after putting all these building blocks together, and what are the different ways we can be able to put it across. We'll cover it more about it and how the entire the cost and benefit analysis you bring in front of the customer, and you or we being a design consultant, we need to recommend customer also that based on your business objectives, there are these 2-3 options. These are the pros and cons of it, and based on what objective which you have set, this may be the more appropriate design for your data center. So this is more on the topology level, the conceptual level. So obviously the detail level goes after these conceptuals are frozen. Then coming back again to the design input in the conceptual stage, I would like to rephrase it again and again, because these inputs, like you, there is a saying, right? Your dirt in, dirt out. So whatever input you put, and that's the kind of output you will get. So cleansing or creating the input which is more appropriate for the design stage is very, very important. That's the reason I am again trying to repeat this slide. So with customer, you must revalidate the requirements on the number of racks and size, power densities, average, minimum, higher, so that you can be able to create or incorporate those things in your conceptual design process. So what is the efficiency you are looking at, what kind of technology. Availability is very, very important, because based on the availability, you may have to select different kind of topology which supports that level of availability. Similarly, if somebody asks for any specific benchmark or standard, this is how we are looking at. So those things comes as input. Similarly, we need to consider all the site due diligence report inputs to us, because that is very, very important to see what are those risks or issues which can be able to incorporate in our design, and what are the things which is open and what is the level of risk which is open. Similarly, we have got a statutory compliance has to be incorporated in the design. Similarly, master plan becomes one of the input. So whatever master planning exercise which we have done, so on that master plan, we are planning to plug in all these different building blocks, systems and subsystems in the data center. And another most important part which we are talking about is design assumptions and considerations. So each and everything, the technical inputs are not always stated by the customer. So based on the site and based on the inputs which is available, what can be the design consideration or what design considerations you are assuming, that need to be documented and put it across very clearly. And also more importantly is operations and management. It is not only necessary to build the data center, but we have to manage the data center till its lifespan, which is around 20-25 years. So how smoothly we can be able to manage. So there are operational aspects which also we need to incorporate in your conceptual design process. So coming back to what are the different elements of concept design. So if we talk about elements, so elements are first, if you see this block diagram here, this talks about different building blocks of the data center. So in the master planning phase, we only considered how much space these building blocks are going to take, and on the block wise we put it. In conceptual design stage, we have to drill down in each and every building block, where the civil, the structure, architecture, electrical, mechanical, in terms of the sizing, the average dimensions, and for individual building block, and then how, what topology we will put all these building blocks together, so that it gives a integrated outcome which meets our data center objectives, which we talked in my previous slide. So, and that's where we always talk about all these building blocks need different set of SMEs. Like architecture, architects are one kind of SME. Structural engineers are different. Civil engineers are different. Electrical is a very vast stuff in data center. So you have got distribution, you have got capacities, you have got DCG, UPS, so on and so forth. So there are different kind of SMEs, sub SMEs also in electrical, and similar way for the mechanical, plumbing, safety and security is one word. But when you are segregating it, there are multiple subsets into this building blocks, and similarly the automation part of it. And DC solution architect is more about seeing that all these building blocks are properly integrated, and in technical language we also call it topology. How these building blocks are integrated to achieve the outcome which we are looking at. What are the different outcomes or deliverables we expect from the conceptual design? We are looking at architectural plans. So now master plan, you've got building overall master plan for the land, how you are going to develop it. Now how you are develop the building. So you need to have architectural plans, layout plans, elevations, right? Similarly, you need to have structural planning. So because data center building requires a different kind of loading, which is much higher than the normal commercial building. So obviously, the structural requirements are very critical for data center building. So how the entire structural planning is being done. So that is structural details has to come out very clearly. Then design topology. I talked about how all these building blocks are going to connect it together, and there can be multiple topology which can meet the same objectives. So which topology is the best, and that's what I will talk about below, that how do you select the right topology. On the day I talked about layout plans, you need to prepare the schematic plans for electrical, mechanical, and your automation, safety, security. They are all schematics which you have to create. We have to do capacity planning, the sizing of each and every building blocks or components of the building blocks has to be done. Concept options. So concept options is nothing but how are you creating that topology with different combination of these even building blocks, can have also different products, different solutions, different technologies, and also all these building blocks may have got different topology. So at least normally we should have around 3 options to be given to the customer with our recommendations, with the pros and cons, and accordingly customer select one of them. Bill of material. So bill of quantity I'm not saying, but bill of material is very, very important, because whenever you are going to discuss this DBR, design brief report, or options in thumb rule language if we are talking about, then you need to have the pros and cons, what are the advantages and disadvantages, or cost benefit analysis which we are doing against those different options. So it will help customer taking the right decision on selecting the right options at the conceptual stage. And then the final recommended design. Being a consultant, we should be able to evaluate what should be the best design which should suits their business objective. Even if we are providing 2-3 options, because deliberations are required even if we are consultant, but objectives and the requirements are more known to the customers. So once we put forward these multiple options to them, we deliberate, we discuss, we also come lot of input from them, and sometimes it may also happen that after the discussion you found that whatever recommendation you were talking about, I think another option is much more appropriate with the customer, and then mutually you agree on that, sign on the conceptual design part. So In this particular stage, what you do is you sign the conceptual design, you sign the sketch, you sign, and then you move to the next stage, which is detailed design. Because if conceptual designs are not concurred properly, and if you keep on flickering between these two designs, then you are going to waste a lot of time and efforts doing this entire activity. So it is very, very important to do thorough activity during the conceptual design. Take the mind share of the customer, take their concurrence, approval before you move to the next stage of detailed design. So in my next session, I would be talking about the detailed design, what are the different specs, aspects to it, elements to it, and how do you do it, what are the different deliverables or outcome which we expect out of this detailed design, what is importance of a detailed design, and then after this detailed design, then we'll move to the next stage, and then maybe for better understanding to our audience or the people over here, we might have to again drill down to the building block wise. So, in let us say a civil building block, what needs to be done at different stages, so that you will have a fair idea about those specific building blocks. As I said, data center is mixture of multiple subsystems, very complex, very critical. So complexity and the criticality put together make the entire subject more tougher, and that's the reason why you need to spend more time, do research more and more, uh, experience or apply your knowledge on the site and gain more and more skills, enhance your skills and knowledge out. So, with this, I would like to thank all of you for watching this session, and I hope this session would be beneficial. And as I always say, I would request you to go through the entire video, then only you will have thorough knowledge on what we are talking about. If somebody has entered in the session in between, I would always request people to start the session from session 1 and then subsequently follow 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 12. So all these sessions are correlated together. So if you are going through this session one by one, then it is very, very easy for you to understand the subject. So provide your inputs in the comment section, and I would be really keen to improve the session wherever it is required. I normally do a lot of research before I prepare these slides and then talk about it, keeping in view that I am talking to a layman who is not a data center expert, and how can I make him understand about this complex subject and make it more easier. And that has been my overall mission, and that's I'm trying to work around and deliver the sessions to you. So thank you very much. Have a great day, great evening. Be safe, be healthy. Take care. Bye bye.